From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Boys, morning.
Morning, everybody.
We've lost to Geordie. We've lost to Geordie. Send us
moving on. We've got a big show. He's back.
Steve's back. Steve, I won't tell you what Ted said, but I will. He said, "Look, if he's not here, let's just move on with the show." There you go.
Great.
I'll drop him in.
Lads.
I'm dropping him in.
With that. Very happy with that. Anyway,
Never trust a smoggy, mate. Never trust a smoggy.
Thanks for sending What the Fact in friendly yesterday. Fantastic, mate. Great idea.
Yeah, that was rough.
Did you like it? Did you?
Yeah, we did. But you do realise it was a friendly because you weren't here, Ted.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's obviously it's like a. I was going to say mishy move. That's a Greek expression for fake. Yeah.
It's a friendly.
It was a testimonial. You know.
The pressure was off. The pressure was off, Dave. The pressure was off because Ted wasn't here. It can't be an official What the Fact because it just didn't feel the same. So it didn't matter that we didn't get it right. So the scores are still level.
And was the answer Andy Elsie's back garden line in Rainton or something like that?
I'd switched off after the first question, so I don't even know what it was.
That must have been geography.
I got a message off Jack C in Leicester. Saying that I was close to getting it if you'd given me 4 more clues and another hour of the radio show.
Yeah, not wrong.
Good point.
Did you like the audio clue though? Did you like that?
Yeah. That was,
I said it was the radio equivalent to blackface, mate, and it nearly got us chucked off the airwaves.
It was not. It was a nondescript accent actually.
So you're telling me that was a Welsh accent?
It was somewhere in between Compton and Brixton and Sunderland.
Yeah. I'm
pleased
sure
I
Radio
missed it.
Dad can listen to it tomorrow.
I'm pleased I missed it by the sounds of it. Yeah, absolutely.
On his Iowa Walkman when he's out for his walk.
yeah, it was
Just a bit of Valley G.
Hey, I've got a question for you, fellas. I've got a question. It's International Women's Day today, so Taylor Swift fans are called Swifties. So, other than Steve, because we already know he has one, you know, if you were to have a large fan following, what would your fans be called?
I know this already.
No, Teddies. Teddy boys. Hey.
No. That sounds weird. One of my ancestors has kindly already broken the ground on this one. If you go to a lovely market town called Annan in the southwest of Scotland, you will see a statue there of Edward Irving, who was a long distance
Edward,
sort of
Uncle Ted.
Yes, and basically it was he was the first person to create a religious cult in England called the Irvingites. There you go. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
So you're trying to say the only fan following you would ever create is a cult?
Well, yeah, there's good money in it.
Okay. Moving on swiftly.
The Tedites. There you go. The Tedites.
How on earth do we get on the cults? That question, I don't know. Anyway, carry on.
I'm just keep refreshing Twitter, just waiting for Joey Barton's first tweet on International Women's Day.
Oh, I know. It's going to be magnificent.
Yeah, not wrong.
Has he got a missus? Is he married?
Yeah, he is. He's got kids, doesn't he? He's got two kids, 3 kids.
Is he still married?
I think so, yeah. You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
She supports him as well, like through it. She agrees with him, which is even wilder. Nah, she full backs him for it. So that's what I find absolutely insane, because he literally brings it into disrepute in terms of, I swear he sets like he just pushes everything back. You know what I mean? Like we make so much stride forward in trying to make the women's game more popular and bring it to the forefront and stuff like that, and then he gets on his bandwagon and gets all his followers sort of up in arms about it, and then he just brings everyone back. It's like 3 steps forward, 4 steps back with him. So
he brings the human race into disrepute.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, not wrong.
Yeah, he does, mate. Yeah. We've already devoted far too many seconds to him.
Indeed. Anyway, moving swiftly on. That seems to be the phrase this morning. Who shows it? Is it Steve's?
Steve's voice. Yep.
Oh, sensible show then. Sensible Friday. Absolutely.
It is. Although I think
there, Steve?
he's gone. He's gone. No, he's not there. Well, you would have chimed in.
Steve!
You just couldn't make it up, could you?
No, no.
Steve, have you changed anything?
Clearly.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
No.
I mean, we can't even do the headlines without Steve, can we?
No, we can't. We can't.
I don't. What should we talk about?
So, Sunderland this weekend, Teddy boy. Sunderland this weekend, hey?
Oh, great. Oh, please, Steve, come back in, will you? Yeah.
Well, if I can save your blushes, mate, we've had an incredible WhatsApp. It's winged its way all the way from the United States of America.
Oh,
It says, now then. So obviously a Teessider. Now then,
Yeah,
will you be archiving the shows so as expats can listen at times that are more convenient?
Ah, that's very nice. Well, we do have a podcast available.
Hang on, who is it?
Well, I like the way that was phrased, though.
It's Matt.
That was classy.
Yeah, I know. Oh, hang on.
Thank you, Matt.
Well, good morning, Matt. Good evening, good afternoon,
whatever
wherever
time
you
of
are.
the day it is. I suppose it depends what time zone he's on, whether he's
Yeah, not
listening
wrong.
live or not. But when you're listening
I think
back,
we've got
mate,
Steve back.
we have got Steve back. When you're listening
Well,
back, mate, the answer is yes. They're all available on your podcast platform, whatever that one is.
Yeah.
Steve's back.
Am I back or not?
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
are, yeah.
Sounding
Yeah, I mean,
beautiful.
This system has definitely got it in for me this week. There seems to be issues with it and problems. So I think you need to get the engineer out. Dave.
I love how-
that's you.
I love how it's the system's fault, but it's only Steve that ever suffers from
Well,
it.
it's funny. It's funny, Dave, because it only happens when you're on. It never happens when Daz is on. So I think it's you,
I've
Dave,
been
who doesn't know
rumbled.
what he's doing.
I've been rumbled. Oh no! I've been
And it's
rumbled.
very easy for me. It's very easy for me. I just say nothing, Dave, and move on.
We give you the big build. While you were,
maybe
Steve,
a
I was
10 past
protecting
7.
you. I was protecting you, mate.
I don't believe it at all, Dave. Maybe at 10 past 7 it might be time to have some club headlines before I get cut off again by your system.
Let's do it.
He's taking it personally.
Oh, I am, Dave.
Oh no, I'm in trouble. I've been getting letters. I've been getting letters from Mrs. Ray.
The tone of the voice has changed and everything.
I better put him first. Here we go.
Magpies
Absolutely.
and proud. Mags News.
Newcastle co-owner Amanda Staveley has claimed Steve Bruce didn't even want to come to work before he left the club. I know how he feels. Bruce left St James's Park shortly after her arrival after 2 years as manager. On the state of arrival, when they arrived, she said there needed to be dramatic change because the club had been run in a very different format. We had a few commercial revenues, we had a team that was ageing, a fan base that was angry, and a coach who basically didn't even want to come to work. We had to inject it with life. Garen Kwal's loan move to Holland has been left in a state of utter chaos after a mass exodus at FC Volendam. Around a dozen staff were shown the door at the Dutch club, including Inter Milan's star Wim Jonk, the club's transfer supremo and technical director Jasper van Leeuwen, and manager Matthias Kohler, who wanted to sign Newcastle United's Cole so much. Since their departure, the 19-year-old has been benched and frozen out of the starting lineup. And Newcastle United would still be at a competitive disadvantage even if the Magpies managed to install another 5,000 seats at St James's Park. This is the view of football finance expert Kieran Maguire as Newcastle await the findings of the club's stadium feasibility study. Newcastle have commissioned a number of world-leading architects in the field to look into what is possible on the complicated city centre site, and the club's hierarchy ideally want to stay at St James's Park if it is possible to expand. That's in Newcastle headlines on Friday the 8th of March.
Mackems and proud. Black Cats News.
Good morning, Sunderland fans, and happy Friday. I am back. There is some sanity restored, finally. Sunderland are back on the road this weekend when they travel to St Mary's to take on promotion chasing Southampton. And Mike Dodds has spoken ahead of the fixture and of the squad who are hunting their first points on their 6th attempt. It's not lost on either that we've lost 5, and we have to address that. On the flip side, we've got to look at a lot of positives, and not just for 45 minutes. I think for maybe 60 minutes when I watched the game last game back, there was a spell in the first half that I thought we were better than I thought we were. We've got to take the positives from the other night and have the same mindset and approach for the game this weekend. And as we've been telling you this week, Roy Keane has once again been linked with the vacant Sunderland job and has taken to social media to share a tongue-in-cheek response. Taken to Instagram, Keane posted a picture of himself and his former Manchester United teammate Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with the caption, "DM us if you're looking to hire a manager." Indeed, both former managers are keen, no pun intended, for a return to the dugout, with Solskjaer also throwing his hat in the ring for the vacant position at the Stadium of Light. It is, however, thought that neither would find the current model being deployed by the ownership would suit the Manchester United legends. And finally, a Sunderland FC legend and a veteran charity founder looks set to be nominated for the Freedom of Sunderland. Citizens who make significant contributions to the well-being and community spirit of Sunderland can be given freedoms by Sunderland Council, a tradition which started in the borough in 1901. People to be given freedoms include Lionesses Jill Scott and Steph Houghton, and this year the nominations look set to include Sunderland AFC's Kevin Ball, who's been involved with the club for more than 30 years, and ex-serviceman Gerard Fowler for his work with the Sunderland Armed Forces Partnership for Founding Veterans in Crisis. They are your Sunderland headlines.
Smoggies and proud. Borough News.
Good morning, Borough fans. Happy Friday. Middlesbrough travel to QPR in a relegation battle once again as we try and move away from being dragged into a similar position. Johnny Howson knows Middlesbrough's recent form has fallen way short of expectations, but says the onus is now on them to build on their Norwich City victory and put a run of results together. Borough East fears of being dragged into the relegation battle on Wednesday evening when we took advantage of Borja Zane's red card for kicking out at Howson as we came from behind to win 3-1. Moving Borough up to 12th in the championship side and ended a run of 2 straight defeats. The victory was Borough's first at the Riverside in the league in 2024 and just third from 10 games since the turn of the year. In what was a disappointing start to 2024, it has seen our playoff ambitions slide away. As acknowledging as much, Howson had to say this: "It's been a tough run of late and things haven't been going well, so it was important to get the 3 points. I'm so happy to be back, fit and firing. It's a huge push now for the rest of the season. Certainly it's coming here at home as well. Hopefully that gives everyone a fair bit of a lift and a fair bit of confidence." Exactly what Borough need right now. Borough will be out without a few players still this weekend in Dale Fry especially, and Hayden Hackney, who is said to be both coming back after the international break. The Josh Coburn saga continues as well as he battles a groin issue, potentially now out for the rest of the season. Time will tell whether Joshy can get back on the pitch at all. Up the Borough, we're away to QPR. We need to find another 3 points. That's your Borough headlines.
Together across the North East.
The tune, the cat, and the red.
I'm being insulted. It's not fair. The Wraithies out there are insulting me. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah. I've got to say good morning to Herbert. Herbert, how are you? See, you are back in the My First Lego studio. Lol. Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
I don't know anybody called Herbert.
Well, obviously you've got a big fan base out there, mate. Put the finger firmly pointed at Radio Dad this morning. I sit among you with head bowed. But at least we've had a positive WhatsApp in.
What's going on?
Sorry?
Hey!
We've had a positive one in, and it comes from our friend Daniil. Morning, gents. Happy Friday.
Morning, Daniil. Happy Friday, Daniil. Happy Friday indeed. Happy Friday indeed.
What's the WhatsApp from Daniil? Is that it?
That was it. Morning, gents. Happy Friday.
All right. Oh, morning to Neil. Sorry.
Morning, Daniil. Okay.
I know he normally gives us a
Moving
longer
on.
one, but there you go.
Moving on. Leicester City are facing a charge for allegedly breaching the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules in their final campaign before they were relegated. This isn't great news for Leicester, to be honest, lads. I mean, this stems from the period in the Premier League. So we could have a bizarre situation. Talk about FFP being ludicrous with regards to the Everton situation that we're seeing them having 10 points deducted, then having an appeal, and then that being changed to 6 points. We now could have the farcical situation where potentially Leicester and maybe even Southampton get promoted and then find themselves deducted points as soon as they get back into the Premier League, as if it's not hard enough coming up from the Championship to start with, coming into the Premier League and you're up against it. You could get 6 points deducted. You get 10 points deducted, and this is becoming a farce, lads. And I really don't know how on earth the Premier League get out of this. But I guess the Premier League are looking at it and saying, this is the rules we've set out. We have to abide by them. But I mean, where does this end, Rye? With with a team that should be celebrating at Wembley, or going up in the playoffs, or a team that celebrates winning the title outright, suddenly goes into the Premier League, this big occasion, only to find themselves deducted points as soon as they get back. Yeah. I was genuinely astounded at this. I mean, what do the Premier League need to do to stop this? Getting beyond a joke.
Well, the thing that frustrates me the most is obviously it happened in the last time they were in the Premier League. They're now in this season's championship. So I feel the delay in all these cases is what's killing it for most people. And I know it's not an open and shut case for most of them. And I know obviously you see Man City, Nottingham Forest, Everton. It gets dragged out, it needs to be investigated. They need to look into it further and yada, yada, yada. But if it's not dealt with in the same season that it has been, where the crime has been committed, it is absolutely ridiculous, because then it affects people or other clubs in different leagues, other teams that have been promoted and relegated, which costs millions and millions of dollars. And that's the most frustrating thing for me is that it can't be dealt with in the same season. I get that it takes a long time, but it needs to be dealt with in the same season, because then you're talking about Leicester coming down to the championship with a team that is fraudulent. They've spent too much now. And now they've wiped the championship away this season with a team that has now been found to be guilty. And then when they go back up, that's when they're getting punished. It makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. And it's now affecting across leagues. The Premier League and the EFL are different. You know what I mean? That we're separated, and it's becoming, you just sit back and just shake your head. Because the amount of teams that are doing it and going through it, and it's not going to be the end of it either. You know what I mean? So it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating that it's a team can come down to the championship with a fraudulent squad, and then blow the championship away, then go back to the Premier League and then find themselves on a point deduction, which will then find them back down in the championship the following season. It's just, how do you keep up with all this? It's just crazy.
It is. Ted, I mean, this really is, talk about the ultimate party pooper for Leicester. If they go up,
totally.
Maybe it's the reason they've gone through this little bit of a faltering period in their championship story this year. But it's not good, is it? If a team comes up and then finds themselves deducted points almost immediately.
Do you know what I would do if I was Leicester City right now? If they know that they are kind of guilty of this, and who's to say that they might be, they might not be. But if they are, I'll be actually going to the FFP board and going, yeah, it was us. Yeah, as long as we'll admit to everything, as long as you give us a 6 point deduction now, the same as what you did with Everton, and we'll take our chances. Because to be honest, 6 points off them, that would leave them on 75 points. That would see them down to fourth place. Probably still enough to get back in it and finish in the top two.
So that makes more sense.
Honestly, yeah, I'll be taking it on the chin, make a plea bargain almost, and go to them and go, right, yeah, we'll take our chances with the 6 points off as long as you do it this season. Yep, guilty, yeah, let's get on with it. And honestly, I still think they'll go up. That would make more sense for them rather than going to a Premier League where, I still think they're going to get found out. I still think they'll be a better side than what Burnley and Sheffield United have been this season. Like, don't get us wrong, but at the same time, I would be looking to make a plea if I was them.
Yeah, but with it being the EFL and the Premier League, it's two completely different leagues. And
You're expecting football bodies to communicate with each other, Steve.
It'll never happen. It'll never happen. No. Okay, we've got lots coming up on the North East Footy Brekky show this morning, but we have got to make time for some ads.
From Wickham to Whitley Bay, Stonygate to Shields, Doggy to Darlow Backlane, Steve, Ted and Rye. The North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
We are back.
Welcome back to the North East Footy Brekky show, and some bad news coming out of Rome last night. 2 Brighton fans stabbed prior to the game that was on last night, and Sky Italy reported that the men, both aged 27 and 28, were also robbed during the attack. They were able to take refuge in a nearby restaurant where an employee called the emergency services. They were taken to hospital where their condition isn't believed to be serious. We saw Newcastle fans earlier in the season attacked, when they were away on European travels, and again another stabbing, which is becoming all too common on these European nights. And I wanted to talk about this morning because English fans have got a reputation, the English disease, they used to call it. We, of course, served, some fairly lengthy bans from European competition because of what had happened at Heysel, and rightly so. But that was a different era. In this country, I think we've stamped out hooliganism, certainly within football stadiums. We know it still goes on. Maybe the certain minority who want to go and do this, they'll meet in a car park or a field and go and do it. But it's not happening at stadiums anymore, and we don't see the kind of hooliganism that we had in the late 70s and early 80s. And thank God for that. Football stadiums are a lot safer as well. We've got CCTV, we've got police, we've got stewards. It just doesn't happen. The main trouble now seems to be abroad, and without wanting to generalise, the Italians seem to have a major issue with this. And whenever England fans or English fans from various clubs travel abroad to Italy, we see incidents like this. And again, there might only be minority incidents. It might not happen on a regular basis, but one stabbing is too many stabbings for me when somebody is travelling abroad to go and support their football team. Now, isolated incidents and things like that, you might say, well, this could have been a mugging that's gone wrong or whatever. It's highly unlikely. It's more likely that this is football related, and this is the kind of situation that happens time and time again. We see it time and time again. Is it time to get tough on foreign hooligans? Because the one thing that I never see after this happens is we know that the fans are fine, they'll come home. Luckily, some fans don't come home, but these people will come home. We never see anything in the news or hear anything in the news about arrest, prosecution, what's happened with this particular case. It's almost as if it gets swept under the carpet. So as soon as the English fans are home, that's it, we can move on. And I just don't think that's right. And we don't ever see sanctions against the Italian teams for these kinds of incidents taking place. If this was in England, God knows what would happen. We've seen our authorities clamp down and crack down on fans. Fans have been banned from attending games. We see a lot of this for other events, but not for stabbing. So, is it time to crack down, Rai, on this kind of behaviour, abroad? Not just cracking down on the UK fans, because we've got a bad reputation, but it seems to be it seems to be getting worse, especially in Italy.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. I mean, we've seen it way too many times this season. We saw it with Newcastle, like you said, and now obviously this with Brighton. It's scary. I mean, and I don't get how. Because we see it across, the UK every week in, week out. We see a derby of some sort in different leagues. Now, obviously, we saw the West Brom Wolves one. I mean, that was the only one I can think of this season that went probably horribly wrong, according to the authorities and stuff like that. But most other derby or most other clash, whether it was hotly contested or not, was pretty safe. I mean, we saw Sunderland Newcastle for the first time since 1950s in the FA Cup. And there was no stabbings or anyone, so you can't be putting the blanket over that the UK, fan base is still, hooligans, because it's not coming from there. It's every time that these British teams seem to travel to Italian-based teams that they seem to face this type of incident, and it's becoming ridiculous. Now, how do they combat it? I don't know if they can. I don't know if the Premier League can do anything, because it's obviously, I don't know, obviously if, but I feel like politicians and all that sort of stuff could get involved now, and there should be some sort of legal barrier. I mean, we see Tonali. I mean, Tonali's an example. He played for AC Milan. He committed a crime while at AC Milan. He's then been found guilty coming back over here. Why can that not happen the same when someone's coming out and literally physically hurting someone? So it's scary. It is scary. It makes me.
Do you have many problems in Australia, Rai? With hooliganism, at sporting events.
Yeah, we do. We have a little bit with in the Sydney crowds. We have at Western Sydney Wanderers and Sydney FC who face each other off probably twice a season, and that's usually a very, very hotly contested one that you pretty much avoid. And that's the type of hooliganism that you can see there, I guess. And it's just the I don't know, it's just the different type of emotion in those games that just sort of drives the neutral away, I guess you could say. But it is scary. It is scary. It's not something that I want my family or anything to be a part of when I just want to go to the football and watch the game.
Yeah, Ted, I mean, this really is, getting worse, I think. And I don't think I'm wrong when I'm picking out the Italian clubs who seem to have this, reputation for, the fans seem to have this reputation for going in strong on England. And I've seen it. I've read enough books on the subject to know that, maybe there is this kind of groundswell. It seems to be certainly like there was the Ukrainians, I remember, in the World Cup a few years ago, were going out in big squads, but they hold England's old school hooligans from the 70s and 80s on some kind of pedestal. They see them as the kind of the ultimate hooligan, and it's almost as if they want to try and surpass them and be better than them. It's quite frightening. But what I never see is punishment, Ted. I never see punishment.
No, I mean, 2 points I want to make on it, Stephen, and you've already alluded to one of them. Is it's always the same places. Now, I read the notes, and obviously, when you send the talking points through in the night, I always have a little glance through just to see, what we're going to be doing. And I saw Sky Italy, and obviously you see stabbings, and I didn't even read Rome, and I knew already where it was. Yeah. I already knew that a game in Rome where English fans are going to be, there's going to be trouble. And it's the same, as soon as anybody gets drawn with Galatasaray, for instance, there's going to be trouble. And indeed there has been historically as well. I remember 2 Leeds fans being stabbed over there. The places that is going to cause trouble. Games in Poland. Anything that involves Warsaw. There's those list of places where that these incidents happen, and yet you're absolutely right. It seems to be a case of nothing appears to be getting done on it. Now, the other issue as well I have with that is. I honestly think that English fans are targeted, because of the reputation of English fans in the 70s. Those travelling sort of, the hooligan element and all that kind of thing. It's almost like it's a scalp to take by, doing in a few English fans as kind of like sort of, well, they've had it coming anyway, because what English fans are like. And I think there's a lot of attitudes, not just among football fans in other countries. I think it's the police departments and governments and such like as well. It's kind of, well, they're English fans. They were probably mouthing off or probably creating trouble, so they've probably had it coming. It's all probably when it's not. The face of English fans has changed massively in the last 20 to 30 years. We talk about it on the show, Steve, about less working class people going to these games, which is to its detriment, in my opinion. But at the same time, you've got like a more middle class. You've got families travelling abroad to go and watch football matches and things like that. It's not the hooligan mobs that we once had. It's very, very distasteful, absolutely, and it needs to change. But this is down to other governments to do that. The surprising countries where this is really, really rife in terms of hooliganism. I've got friends in Sweden who support second division Swedish sides who have massive hooligan crews in Sweden. Mm-hmm. You never hear about it because honestly it's Europe's dirty little secret that football hooliganism is much worse there than what it is in England.
Yeah. It's crazy, really. We're not the same crowd as we were back in those days, and we're just judged on, our history, I guess, more than anything else, and reputation. Brits abroad.
I can't fight you out the duvet now, Steve.
drinking culture in the UK, etc., etc. It's it's something that we've worked hard to get rid of and get shot of. So yeah, okay. Well, we've discussed that this morning, and we hope those two Brighton fans get back home safe, and that they're not too traumatized from that. Just want to talk a little bit about my second favourite sport, which is boxing, and obviously Anthony Joshua fights Francis Ngannou tonight, and he's come in £20 heavier than Anthony Joshua. Obviously, I'm a big boxing fan, and I've watched the rise and demise of Anthony Joshua, and with a lot of interest. I've got a soft spot for him because I was involved in those early days when he went from English champ to British champ to to Commonwealth champ to world champion, and I was lucky enough to do the undercard for his big show at the Arena in Newcastle with Eddie Hearn. So I really thought he was the be all and end all, but over the last 2 years he's let himself down, and this is a huge fight for Anthony Joshua. This is a big opportunity for Joshua to put a statement out, because Ngannou's the one who put, for those of you who are casual boxing fans, he put Tyson Fury on the floor, who of course is the linear world champion. He is, and this guy can punch. He's also got the hardest recorded punch, to date. And now with technology you can monitor these kind of things. This guy is dangerous. This is a dangerous opponent for Anthony Joshua. And when you look at look at the last few fights that Joshua has had, and look at the big fights he's had where he's come a cropper. Alexander Usyk, for example. I think this could be the end of Anthony Joshua's career tonight, and this really will throw a spoke in the big. In big plans for the heavyweight division over the course of the next few years. I think the big positive about this is, again, we're seeing, for boxing fans, is we're seeing Eddie Hearn and, other boxing promoters all working together towards the same goal. The downside, and it surprises people when you hear a Newcastle fan say this, is that these big fights are in Saudi, and we've talked about it on this platform before. That there's no atmosphere there. This isn't like Vegas where you've got general public mixing with A-list celebs. It's literally played in front of an arena with nobody in, and it's a damp squib of an atmosphere. But this really is career defining. If Joshua wins tonight, then he's back in contention to be the world heavyweight champion again, and we could be a step closer to the fight that everybody wants to see, which is of course Fury versus Joshua. But I fear for Joshua tonight. He's talking a good game. He looks very chilled. He looks very confident. I've got to be honest, I don't like this tagline about him being the postman. It's old hat that it's cringeworthy that he being the postman, he always delivers. I think he's setting himself up for a great fall, and I think knockout chaos as it's been billed tonight, which starts at 4:00 on Sky Sports box office, is a great title for it, because I think there will be chaos when Joshua gets knocked out. I don't see him winning this. And I think this could be the end of somebody who's been a good ambassador for the sport, a great ambassador for the sport, because of his backstory, because of where he came from, because of how high he's got up. But I feel that probably the fact that he almost fell out of love with boxing is probably the reason that he's probably just hasn't got it in him anymore. But Ted, I'll come to you, because I know you're more of a boxing fan than Rye. You've got a big interest in boxing. What's your take on this?
It's a weird one, because I honestly don't think AJ has looked anything like his self since that Brian Ruiz fight, the first one, obviously. Now I know it was like it shocked him and all that kind of thing, but I also question his appetite, mate. He's going through the motions, he's saying the right things, but I just don't think there's that sharpness that there was when he was a younger man, and I honestly fear for him. If it came down to a fight with him and Fury right now, as out of form I think Fury is in right now and not fighting his best, I still think that AJ would get absolutely clattered. He really would. And he's not built for a street fight. This guy tonight, I loved what he had to say. He wants to take his soul tonight, which I just thought was one of the most deathly harrowing things I think I've ever heard from a boxer. But he's an animal as well. I mean, it's an intriguing fight because this guy, the opponent tonight is not one to be messed around with. No. This isn't like sort of a mug that AJ is going to fight, trying to get back into form, then try and push this fight with Fury that, like you say, everyone wants to see. It's probably about 4 years too late, to be fair, but everyone still wants to see it anyway. I'd rather see that than Mike Tyson go up against some YouTuber who's going to get his teeth splattered. We'll come back to that though. Honestly, AJ's really in for a tough fight here, and if he does get beat, I absolutely 100% agree with you, mate. I think it could be his career gone. It could be as simple as that. I don't think it'll go the distance. I think AJ's he's either going to have to really, really up his game and go in early to try and finish this guy off, because if it gets to rounds 4, 5, 6. Honestly, I fear for AJ, and I think he'll tire, and I think he'll get knocked out.
But he won't, will he? He's going to try and box him, isn't he? He's going to try and keep him at distance. He's going to try. I'm sure that's what AJ is going to try and do. And Steve, is that the recipe for disaster? If he tries to keep him on the end of a jab.
100%, it is. This is my big worry. He probably start overthinking things. He hasn't got the legs. That's the other thing, his chin's susceptible, but his legs as well. He's always been very weak, and Ngannou gets through with one of those right-handers. I'm afraid it's good night Vienna. This could be over. I personally think this could be over very quickly. I think we're looking within 3 rounds, because Ngannou will just size him up, wait for the opportunity, and pick him off, and it's a worry. And you've got to remember that Usyk who's beaten AJ. Is a cruiser, really. He's a pumped up heavyweight. I just can't see him. I can't see him doing it. We're coming up to the next ad break. I just want to get your views, Rai, on this one. How you see this one going?
Yeah, I'm unfortunately not a big fan of boxing. Just not something I've ever gotten into. I mean, I've more seen over social media this Jake Paul Mike Tyson thing than I have the Anthony Joshua fight, which shows you the state of boxing at the moment when they're more inclined to watch a 50-year-old fight a young kid on YouTube. But I think Anthony Joshua is a fantastic character, a fantastic boxer, but I think it's one of those situations where do you go out on top or do you go till you can't go anymore, and that's usually the bottom. And that's the thing for me for Anthony Joshua. I think he has still got it in him to put in a good performance tonight, but yeah, I worry. I worry that we see him go out, and does it tarnish him if he loses tonight? Does it tarnish if that's the end of him after if he gets knocked out tonight, sort of thing? And that's what I hate, because he's been a fantastic boxer that's had fantastic bouts over his career, but we could see the end of that tonight, and it all sort of ends in a bit of a slump, really. And that's what I hate about boxing, is that you can go out on top or you can go out at the bottom after you've had been at the top. So it'd be interesting to see for sure.
Definitely will be.
Yeah,
okay, you are listening to the North East Footy Brekky Show. We've got plenty coming up after this short ad break.
The important thing to remember about accidents at work is that these days the law imposes such a strong duty of care upon the employer, they're basically obliged to ensure that accidents don't happen. So if an accident does happen, it's likely, in some sense, to be their fault, even if you feel partly to blame. So if you've had an accident at work, just give us a call.
Choose the one you know at the Co.
Sunday, late and live with Les Gunn.
I need a crappie, and I need a crappie for this evening. It's for a special do. You get a little tinge of pain.
Tingy? Is that really a word?
Tingy. Tis now. Colin will tell you that it's... Well, it's been a long time since I watched Casualty. I'm not quite up with the modern medical lingo these days. Perhaps you might be interested in the neon horny sign, Colin.
Sunday, late and live with Les Gunn. Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swarwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Welcome back to the North East Footy Brekky show. There's been a war of words ahead of the Liverpool-Manchester City match this weekend between Trent Alexander-Arnold and one of the best goal scorers probably the Premier League's ever seen in young Haaland. And interesting to hear Alexander-Arnold say that this is him quoted. Looking back on this era, although they've won more titles than us and have probably been more successful, our trophies will mean more to us and our fan base because of the situations at both clubs financially. How both clubs have built their teams and the manner in which we've done it. It probably means more to our fans. Haaland, his retort was that, you know, they won the treble last season and Trent hasn't experienced that feeling. Quite the war of words between these two. And of course, it adds spice to an extra spice to a big game this weekend, which ultimately could decide where the Premiership trophy ends up. What's your thoughts on this, Rye? This is a huge game in the Premier League, and I mean, let's not forget this isn't a 2-horse race this year. It's definitely a 3-horse race. Even Aston Villa would say that they're still involved, although I think it's a bridge too far for them now. But I'd certainly say Arsenal have still got a say in where the title goes to. They've got the experience as well of narrowly missing out to both of these teams. What's your take on this war of words between the two of them? Is it real, or is it just to spice it up a little bit and get more people watching?
Yeah, I don't think it's real. I don't know if there's, I think there's a classic banter and the sort of the driving between the two teams. The war of words just makes it, more feistier in the ground, and it makes it, something you're going to look out for, is because, it's two players that are going to face each other quite a bit. Trent Alexander obviously being the right back, Haaland being the, up the front as well. So it's definitely a war of words rather than, rather than anything serious, I would argue. But it makes, it didn't need an argument on Twitter to make it, look even, more special, because it's a big game in its own right. I mean, it's first v second. It's the two teams you would think are going to battle it out. Arsenal obviously are still there, and you can't forget about them. But it's between these two teams. If there's going to be any team that falls off, it's classically Arsenal that do it. And these two teams will still be there right at the end. So it'll be an interesting one to watch. I'm definitely excited to see who comes out on top. I think it's Man City's to lose, but Jurgen Klopp's last couple of games and stuff like that, does that take into any effect? All that sort of stuff. So and he said that he said that if the Reds defender, Trent Alexander, said that if we do win the trophy, it'll mean more than City's under Pep Guardiola as well, which to be honest, kind of true. I mean, after them winning the treble last season, if Jurgen Klopp was to win on his last season before retirement, it's kind of true that it would have a bit of a more special meaning. So I get where he's coming from that, but and then Haaland comes back and says, "I've been here 1 year and I won the treble." So it's funny, it's exciting, it makes for a tantalising contest, and I'm very, very excited to see who comes out on top of this one, because I feel whoever wins this one wins the title, 100%.
Yeah, it's a big game, this, Ted, in the Premier League at the weekend, and there is a bit of war of words going on between these two. I'm a bit cynical, I guess. This is going to get a big global audience anyway, but it's just adding a little bit of fuel to the fire. And anyone who didn't know the game was on certainly knows the game's on now after this little backwards and forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. But I just find it hilarious, and Rai touched on it there a little bit as well, that a guy who was so useless at right back, they put him in centre midfield, mouthing off about what trophies they've won when they've won less than the rivals. Honestly, Alexander Trent-Arnold just needs to pipe down, mate. Absolutely needs to pipe down. He's not as good as he thinks he is, to be honest. I think that Liverpool side carries him, and they've done all right without him. So him giving it the big one, I just don't buy it. I really don't. Haaland actually conducts himself with a little bit of class, or he's being dragged into this a little bit as well. It'll be winner takes all. I can't see Liverpool winning it. Even with Salah, I don't think Salah is that much of a game changer these days. You know, his prolific days, certainly in the Premier League, are pretty much behind him now. He's starting to kick on a little bit. He's got his sliders on ready for that inevitable move to Saudi, no doubt. I like Man City. I think, Man City, yes, they have spent an awful lot of money to get where they are, but their fans went through an awful lot of years with absolutely nothing to crow about. So do you know what? It will mean more to Man City fans, because the majority of Man City fans who have been there from the start, they appreciate where they've come from. They're watching League One football. Liverpool have always had glory fans. That's 90% of them are plastic fans anyway. If Liverpool went out of business tomorrow, half of them would go back to being Everton fans, let's be honest. Man City for the win. I don't like Liverpool, can you tell?
This is a big game, but it's a bogey ground for Man City. The last win at Liverpool at Anfield came in February 2021. That's only I think that's the only victory there in 7 league visits since Pep became manager in 2016. And that run at Anfield, if you go further back in history before Pep became manager, it goes back. It goes back, I think, 2 wins I think they had in 26 trips to Anfield. 17 of those meetings ended in defeat for Manchester City, and they've only managed to claim 7 draws there. If you're going into averages, they get 0.5 point a game. It's crazy. It's not a happy hunting ground, and this will cheer Rye up. The other club that Manchester City travel to is Middlesbrough.
Yes.
They only average 0.6 of a point at Middlesbrough. That's so the ground that they travel to. The worst ground is Anfield. The second worst is the Riverside. There's no sign of, I'm afraid, the Stadium of Light or St James's Park in that list for Manchester City. But yeah, I mean, is that going to play its part, Rye? The trip, the fact that this is a bit of a bogey ground for Pep. Do you think that gets into his mind and gets into his psyche? That as soon as somebody publicises that, does that filter down from Pep into the team?
No, I think he's been doing it too long to be able to be struck with nerves or something that's said in the media. He's the most nonchalant guy, and he is so. He's so well balanced in a press conference. Nothing throws him, and if anything, he throws it back at them, which is so funny to see sometimes, because you get a reporter that's like, I'm going to stump him here, and he just never gets stumped. So I don't see Pep being, I think, one of the best managers gaffers in the world, and I don't think you get to that title or that that thing by being being sort of getting nervous at traveling away. I think he'll be setting his team up like he does every other week. He'll be getting them right up, and I don't think he needs to pump them up any more than they already know what's ahead of them at a game like this. So no, I don't think he needs to focus on it. I don't think there'll be any sort of of that filtering down to the players or anything like that. If anything, Liverpool should be nervous because they've now got their full strength back. They've got Kevin De Bruyne now. They've got Erling Haaland back. They've got Phil Foden in arguably some of the best form he's ever had. And Liverpool have just gotten Salah back. So it's a really big battle, this. And this is what you want in the Premier League. You want 2 of the best teams, all the best players going against each other. That's what makes the Premier League so fantastic, is games like this. You look at the F1 where Verstappen's like, who's going to take second from now on sort of thing. It's not like that here in the Premier League. This is, the battle of the best.
F1's not a sport, man.
They're the best players in the world, it's Salah's swan song, it's Klopp's swan song, it's Virgil van Dijk's swan song. There's a fair few Liverpool players in that team that won't be there next season, and probably same for Man City. Is it Pep Guardiola? Does he step away now? Does he lose the fight when Jurgen Klopp's not in the opposite dugout? So really, really interesting. But I don't think Pep will be fazed by that at all. I think he'll be right up for it.
Another stat here for you, Ted. In the 15 league encounters between Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, Guardiola's come out on top 5 times and Klopp has come out on top on 4 occasions, and they've shared 6 draws, which includes 3 of the last 5 meetings. Guardiola's 5 wins have come at Anfield, and last season Klopp came out top in this fixture as Mo Salah scored the only goal in a 1-0 win. So it's it's interesting. I mean, stats are things that we live by these days, but you listen to that and everything points to maybe not a humdinger of a game, but probably a cautious game with maybe 1 goal or 2 goals in it, and somebody taking the points and taking a step towards that Premier League trophy. But yeah, it's an interesting comparison between the two. Not much between them.
No, it's not. I mean, obviously, the media and everyone else is going to hype this game up to be something extraordinary, and we all hope it's going to be. You want to see fantastic games being played in the Premier League, but knowing how we'll look, we'll probably get an absolute drab 0-0 where nobody wants to go out and play. But I can't say that. I just think at this moment in time, it may not be like sort of probably not the most star-studded Man City side that we've seen over recent years. I just feel there's a bit more steel about them this time. They don't just play brilliant football. I just feel like they're defensively much more solid. I really can't see anything other than Man City not just winning this game, but going on and steamrolling their way to the title as well, mate.
Okay, well I'm gonna go for a Manchester City win by 1-0 tomorrow. What's your prediction, Ted?
I'm going 3-1 City.
Oof, goals. And what about you, Ray?
I'm going to go with a Liverpool win because it's at home, and it's going to throw the season into an absolute riot, and we're going to see Man City still win it because Liverpool will falter against another team. But I think Liverpool win it this weekend in Jurgen Klopp's swan song.
Dave, what about you?
Oh, this is now time, isn't it, for City to put on their usual end of season run. So I just get the feeling it's going to be another City Premiership title, and to do that they've got to win this game. So I'll go for a 2-1 win, even though it's at Anfield. 2-1 City.
Okay, got about 5 minutes till we get into the news. This tickled me yesterday. A young boy dressed up as Sean Dyche for World Book Day and went up to Goodison Park and got his photo done and did the usual videos which went viral on social media. Sean Dyche was caught coming out the training ground and asked what he thought of the young lad's efforts, and he was amazed but delighted with the fact that the young lad had chosen to dress up as him. So that it pains the question: which manager would you dress up as, Ray, for World Book Day?
Is it Halloween already? It'd have to be Halloween to dress up as Dyche.
This is a big one. I had to have a think about this. Now, look, Michael Carrick springs to mind straight away because of my good looks and how we share the same beard length and we share the same stature in the looks department. And then I spoke to my wife and she said probably Sam Allardyce, and I said get out. And then I look at Jurgen Klopp and the
Steve
greys
Bruce.
and the old, given Steve Bruce, the older sort of head, you know what I mean, the guy that's sort of had it all and he's just out of energy. But yeah, I think if I was going to dress up as anyone, it'd have to be either Big Sam, I reckon, or probably even DiCanio. I used to think he used to wear DiCanio used to wear some
Beautiful suits.
funny outfits. So he had some massive, really good suits. So
was that dirty knees though, didn't they, Steve?
Yes, certainly did once. All right, Ted, what about you? Who would you dress up as?
There's only one man I would dress up as. An absolute icon of style. I'd need a wig to do it.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Gareth Ainsworth.
Gareth Ainsworth?
Yes.
Only one
Mate.
button up.
He's a cross between the name's gone. Michael the singer. Michael
Bublé.
long hair.
Bolton.
Oh, Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton, yes.
Bolton.
Cross between Tarzan and Michael Bolton. He's just every inch the person you want to be, mate. It's got to be Gareth Ainsworth.
Yeah, you need the big chest
Complete
wig and
with the winkle picker boots.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, no problem. I'm very hirsute.
So for me personally, I mean, it's without wearing a wig, lads. You've got to look at Ian Holloway for me, maybe.
Yes.
Dewey and Holloway.
Yes.
Certainly
yes.
think-
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can
good
see-
vests.
Yeah.
Not Big Al.
Big Al. Yeah, I mean, he had hair when he managed. I'm going to be a bit picky with that one, but Lombardo.
Yes.
Yeah, some
Do
player.
that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Steve Agnew.
Gianluca Violi. Notice how I
You just
swerved
ignored the
Steve
Steve
Agnew.
Agnew one.
Yeah.
Why are we going down the list of the Follickney Challenge? Come on, Steve. You can dress up like anybody you want.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Pep Guardiola. Yeah, I'm picking all the ball awards.
Michael Appleton.
Jim Smith.
Yes, absolutely.
Bald Eagle. But yeah, I mean, if I had to put a wig on, which manager I would be Rafa Benitez, wouldn't I? Because I've got a goatee beard. Rafa had a goatee beard. I could
true.
do that.
Yeah.
I could lay off
Rafa.
the diet for a while, lads, and eat a few pies. And it's a good one. What about you, Dave? Which manager would you aspire to be on World Book Day?
If I was going to do something like that, it's got to be somebody who would attract attention. You know, it wouldn't be one of my lesser idols. Who would it be? Obviously, my body's like a temple, so it could be Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yep. Easy.
St. Paul's.
David Beckham.
Oh God, it's an interesting. I align with Ted. I think it's got to be somebody who's going to look a bit flamboyant and that sort of stuff. Who the heck would it be? Certainly wouldn't
I
be.
think
Gareth
Lenny
Southgate.
Lawrence for you, Dave.
Oh,
Lenny
thanks,
Lawrence.
mate. That just sums me up massively, doesn't it? I think I'll go straight into the WhatsApps now. Daniil says I would dress up as Pep because I wouldn't need a wig. And my God, that was frustrating at the Stadium of Light. I did venture into Sunderland territory this week and watched the Sunderland Leicester game. We didn't know which was the head coach and the first team coach. They both look identical in the Leicester bench. It was ridiculous. And I'm also going to seek some solace from Jack, who says, "Morning, lads. Happy Friday. I'm with Radio Dad. I am Radio Dad. Open quotes. Spartacus. Close quotes. Who would I dress up as, lads? Who would I dress up as?
Wayne
Do you know what
Rooney.
I'd do?
Just never
No.
take a hat off.
Graham Taylor.
No, I'd do a job on myself. I'd go as Pep. I'd do the opposite. I'd have to wear an anti-wig sort of thing. You must know the name of them, Steve. What do they call them in acting circles, where somebody with hair is made to look like they don't have hair?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, like a bald cap, like a cap.
Cap thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd do that. I'd do that.
All right. It's just after 8 o'clock. Time for some news.
We'll do it all. Everything on our own. We don't need anything or anyone. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? If I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world?
Nice one, Ryan. Nice one. Got that. Yeah, like it.
See that?
Thank you for absolutely
Nailed
ruining
that.
the end of that.
No, I did not. I was in sync and everything.
love that. You weren't, mate. Maybe with the washing up you were in sync. Aye, that was about it. Ruined that blooming song now. I'm going to have to play that on the way to work now.
Welcome back to
Do you like that one?
welcome back to the North East Footy Brekky show and Rise karaoke morning. You can tell it's Friday. Plenty to talk about. We've got a live guest coming on very, very shortly. Luke Evans from We Tebetans will be on to talk about his band. So look forward to welcoming him onto the show. But as always, we have the North East Footy headlines to help you wake up this Friday morning.
Smoggies and Proud. Borough News.
Good morning. morning, beautiful Borough fans. Happy Friday. Middlesbrough travelled to QPR this weekend in order to try and find 3 points and get further away from that relegation zone after their big win over Norwich City. And on that win, Johnny Howson said that his Middlesbrough's recent form has also fallen way short of expectations, but says the onus is now on them and the others to build on their Norwich City victory and put a run of results together. We ease fears being dragged into that relegation battle on Wednesday with a nice 3-1 win, moving up to 12th in the championship table. The victory was Borough's first at the Riverside in the league for 2024 and just third from 10 games since the turn of the year. Wow's that, hey? Acknowledging Mutt Howson felt the Norwich win was important. It's been a tough of late and things haven't been going well, said Howson. So it was important to get the 3 points. Certainly it's coming home as well, but it's not only at home, it's away where we need to improve. We travel to QPR this weekend and we need to try and strive for another 3 points. The boys need to dig in now and we need to get this club back to where it belongs in that top half of the table. Love it, Johnny. I absolutely love it. Borough will still be without Dale Fry, Joshy Coburn as two of the long-term injuries, as well as Hayden Hackney, who are all likely to return after the international break. As well, Michael Carrick will be doing his press conference later today, as we did have the game late this week. Up the Borough, onto QPR. That's your Borough headlines.
Magpies and Proud. Mags News.
Newcastle United co-owner Amanda Staveley has claimed Steve Bruce didn't even want to come to work before he left the club. Bruce left St James's Park shortly after her arrival after 2 years as manager. On the state of Newcastle when he arrived, she said, there needed to be dramatic change because the club had been run in a very different format. We had few commercial revenues, we had a team that was ageing, a fan base that was angry, and a coach who basically didn't even want to come to work. We had to inject it with life. Garen Qual's loan move to Holland has been left in a state of utter chaos after a mass exodus at FC Volendam. Around a dozen staff were shown the door at the Dutch club, including former Inter Milan star Wim Jonk, the club's transfer supremo and technical director Jasper van Leeuwen, and manager Matthias Kohler, who wanted to sign Newcastle United's Qual so much. Since their departure, the 19-year-old has been benched and frozen out of the starting lineup. Newcastle United would still be at a competitive disadvantage even if the Magpies managed to install another 5,000 seats at St James's Park. That is the view of former football finance expert Kieran Maguire as Newcastle await the findings of the club's stadium feasibility study. Newcastle have commissioned a number of world-leading architects in the field to look into what is possible on the complicated city centre site, and the club's hierarchy ideally want to stay at St James's Park if it's possible to expand it. That's your Newcastle headlines on Friday the 8th of March.
Mackems and Proud. Black Cats News.
Good morning, Sunderland fans. Sunderland are back on the road this weekend when they travel to St Mary's to take on promotion-chasing Southampton, and Mike Dodds has spoken ahead of the fixture and of the squad, who are hunting their first points in their 6th attempt. It's not lost on them that we've lost 5, and we have to address that. On the flip side, we've got a lot to look at of positives, and not just for 45 minutes. I think for maybe 60 minutes when I watched the last game back, there was a spell in the first half that I thought we were better than I thought we were. We have got to take those positives from the other night and have the same mindset and approach for the game this weekend. As we've been telling you this week, Roy Keane has once again been linked with a vacant Sunderland job and has taken to social media to share a tongue-in-cheek response. Taken to Instagram, Keane posted a picture of himself and his former Manchester United teammate Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with the caption, "DM us if you're looking to hire a manager." Indeed, both former managers are keen, no pun intended, for a return to the dugout, with Solskjaer also throwing his hat into the ring for the vacant position at the Stadium of Light. It is, however, thought that neither would find the current model being deployed by the ownership would suit the Manchester United legends. And finally, a Sunderland AFC legend and a veteran charity founder looks set to be nominated for the Freedom of Sunderland. Citizens who make significant contributions to the well-being and community spirit of Sunderland can be given freedoms by Sunderland City Council, a tradition which started in the borough in 1901. People to be given freedoms include Lionesses Jill Scott and Steph Houghton, and this year the nominations look set to include Sunderland AFC's Kevin Ball, who has been involved with the club for more than 30 years, and ex-serviceman Gerard Fowler for his work with the Sunderland Armed Forces Partnership and for founding Veterans in Crisis. Good luck to both for those nominations. There's your Sunderland headlines.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swarwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Okay, welcome back to the North East Footy Brekky show. As I said, we are going to have some guests turning up on the show very shortly from a local band who we often champion on this station. But I do just want to, before we go to that, talk a little bit about Neil Warnock. We've mentioned Neil Warnock on the show many times. He's now gone across the border to ply his managerial trade, and Aberdeen face Kilmarnock in the Scottish Cup quarter-final on Saturday. Aberdeen, it may come as no surprise to hear, have not won under Neil Warnock in the Scottish Premiership. Last winning a league game on January the 2nd. The Pittodrie side are just 4 points above the relegation playoff spot. Talk already of him losing his job, right? I feel so sorry for him, because this guy has given us probably some of the most brilliant after-match, post-match interviews. He's given us a lot of laughs over the years, but is it finally time for Neil Warnock to hang up his coaching badge and say, look, enough's enough? Because Scotland, and the Scottish League, it's often looked at as the poor relation to English football. Its standards aren't as good as the Premier League. We know that. And he's not doing the job there, is he? It's not looking good. Is it time for him to go? And should he perhaps bow out gracefully rather than waiting for the phone call to say that he's been relieved of his position?
I'll tell you what, it's like him and Anthony Joshua are sharing the same fate at the moment, aren't they? I mean, he should have probably hung him up probably a couple of years ago, shouldn't you, Nearly Boy? But he kept going. He just loves it too much. I think it's more Sharon getting him out of the house than him actually going up and getting these jobs sometimes. But it's a shame to see. He's a fantastic character. He's a fantastic person. He knows a lot about football. He knows a lot about managing teams. He's been there, done it over years and years. But I think it is time for a rest. I just don't think that when you go into a team that is as young as Aberdeen, and I guess that Scottish league as well, that they can sort of understand just exactly who Neil Warnock is and what he has done for the game. But it's the English game. It's not the Scottish game. Do you know what I mean? And it's always harder for, I think him going to Huddersfield and all that made sense because they know who he is. They know what he's done. They know what he's capable of. And you had some players there at Huddersfield that were still senior enough to buy into what he was saying and to probably react accordingly to how Neil Warnock runs a team, which, a lot of young kids, which Aberdeen have, are probably going to be like, what's this guy on about then? Do you know what I mean? And it's you can sort of see young kids rebelling against it when, you got a manager like Neil Warnock absolutely in your face telling you you're not good enough sort of thing. So, yeah, look, it is a sad state of affairs. I hope he doesn't get the sack. I hope he gets to go out on his own term because he went in to try and save him. It was until the end of the season sort of thing, but sometimes the job, is a lot bigger than just going in for a couple of games and getting a few wins together. So, yeah, tough for Neil, and I absolutely love him. I miss him when he's not inside a football stadium, talking the absolute magical way that he does, because he's a character, and I love seeing him. But I think his life of a pundit is going to continue for now, rather than the managing career.
Ted, we've had a lot of laughs, as Silla would have said, with Neil Warnock, but it seems as if he's probably going to shuffle off, the managerial circuit, not in a great way either. He hasn't gone out on top. He hasn't gone out on a last day survival campaign or a promotion campaign, which really his career. It would have. He deserved that. He deserves a better exit, and much like Roy Hodgson, who obviously we wish well, who took ill at the Crystal Palace job. I mean, be very surprised to see him come back into the managerial hot seat. We're probably losing. You're probably going to lose two of the best. The biggest names in football that we've seen over the last 20 odd years.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest. Going to the Scottish football to see out the last days of your management career is kind of almost like an insult to Neil Warnock, really. It's
also a long journey from Cornwall where he lives.
Well, yeah, there is that as well, but it's just like, he's a mainstay of English football, and we've seen him for decades now. He's given, like you say, he's given some of the best post-match interviews. The footage from the locker room as well has been absolutely incredible over the years. He's had great players who've all credited him as a fantastic manager. Honestly, I would have loved to have seen him spend his last few months as a manager actually just being a caretaker at Sunderland. I think we would have got more out of it, because for me, I'm getting bored of hearing the same stuff from Mike Dodds. I'm like, sort of, you're looking at positives for the last 45 minutes of football. We've had 5 defeats in a row. And to be honest, I don't think Neil Warnock would have hidden from that. And I think we would have got honesty and a bit of integrity out of it, rather than all this like sort of just beige fluff that we get from a lot of coaches now. It would have been nice to have, but obviously, it ain't going to happen now, obviously. But I do hope there's a little resurgence of form. I mean, well, whether Aberdeen, I don't know how far they are away from safety, but I really don't. I hope they haven't got that sort of heartless streak in them to jettison him, because he is a good manager, and I think results would come good with him no matter where Neil Warnock goes.
I tell you what, being a Sunderland fan's a colourful experience, isn't it? It was this beige fluff. We've had salmon trousers. We've had all kinds of colours thrown at us on the Brekky show.
Yeah. Puce blood pressure. Yes.
8:20 on Friday morning. I believe Dave has a guest lined up. Dave
has a guest lined up, yeah. Luke from We Tebetans, local band. Well, I'll be having a chat with him, Steve, after this.
From Wickham to Whitley Bay, Stonygate to Shields, Doggy to Darlow Backlane. Steve, Ted, and Rye. The North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East. The red, the tune, and the cat.
It is certainly the North East Footy Breakfast show across the North East on the Cat, the Red and the Tune. We got a guest. Oh, we do like guests, boys. Luke Evans joins us from Stockton. We Are Tebetans is the band. Luke, welcome to the North East Footy Breakfast show, mate.
Hi lads, thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you with us.
Good morning, mate. Good morning. Welcome along.
Yeah, you've got a muso amongst us. Ted likes his music, so he's got his ears peeled. He wants to have a listen to the track. Steve likes a bit of local music as well. He was the man who put us up to this very early on the show, saying, hey, let's start giving local bands, local acts, local artists, let's give them a platform, give them a push. So you're in good company, mate. But tell us about the band first of all, just before we play the track. How many is there? Who's involved?
Yeah, so the band is a four-piece. We're from Stockton-on-Tees. It's got myself, Luke Evans, got bassist Danny Spooner.
Yeah.
We've got the guitarist Ben Curry, and we've got the drummer Sweet Tooth Bennett, as we call him.
Sweet Tooth Bennett? Sounds like a boxer.
Yeah, no, he's brilliant. We're from Stockton-on-Tees, and we've been in bands for years and years, really, and we just decided that, we still wanted to write our own music, so we started the band. The band got back up and running about 2021 after the pandemic, and we've just gone from strength to strength really since then, and we're looking forward to bringing out the next single.
We Tebetans is the name. You're not going to try and go and tour China with that name, are you?
Not again, no. I actually did. I actually have been to China before.
Oh, brilliant stuff. So what we're going to what's the track you've sent us? What we're going to listen to?
So the next song, it's going to be called Girls, Friends and Gods.
Right.
And so we never shy away when we talk about mental health and stuff in the band. I think it affects everyone out in the... it does affect everyone. So Danny, the bassist, he's written this song, and the way he's sort of written it, it's about his battles he's had over the last couple of years, almost from like a isolated situation, and feeling as if he couldn't do anything meaningful without the help of others. So he has had help, and he talks about it publicly. But I think for me, I sing the song, and I think when you guys hear it, you can interpret it differently. For me, when Danny played me it, I felt like it was like a lost love and pining for someone. So that's really how I sing it. But once it's out on March 28th, then the song's everyone else's, so you can interpret it how you want it. So hopefully Ted likes it, and he can let me know what he thinks.
Okay, well, let's have a listen then.
Absolutely.
Girls, Friends and Gods, We Tebetans, here it is.
Stones into a lake, staring into empty space, watching as the world unfolds. I'll tell you, girl, that if this is love.
Stockton bands, We Tebetans across the North East. Fellas?
Wow.
Very good. I liked it.
Yeah,
I
honestly,
really liked
loved it.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying
that was really good.
Luke, we get guests on from time to time. We get a variety of different musicians. We've had solo acts on, right across all genres as well. Young and old, doesn't matter. Genuinely, I absolutely loved that. I literally messaged me mate who's also listening to the show, going, I absolutely love the intro. The intro is just like, I don't know. There's a couple of messages coming in now. A couple of people saying, it's a bit Snow Patrol, it's a bit Kings of Leon. When you get compared to bands like that, mate, that is what a track. Genuinely, I absolutely love that. I'd only ever heard, obviously, your previous single was Running Away back in 2022, I think it was, which I love because it kind of had that seahorses and kind of a little bit of Stone Roses feel about it. It's probably fair to say. You can tell you love your guitar rock, absolutely. Like you've studied the classics, so to speak. But a bit of a change of direction in the sound. Is that fair to say from your last stuff?
Yeah, I think that we've been away for a while. Obviously, like, we'd love to do the band full time, but it's hard. We're all a little bit older now, so we all work like full time. So we have to do it as and when we can. So we have been quiet for a period, but also it's good for us because we bring something out when we feel like we've got something to say. And you're right in what you say about Snow Patrol, Kings of Leon. They're the bands that we grew up with, especially me. I mean, Final Straw, the Snow Patrol album, that's like a song, like an album of my childhood. So that's good for us. I mean, I'd rather be compared to those bands than, you know, than maybe some others because they're bands.
Than Shawaddy Waddy, but you're probably far too young to remember them.
Oh, that's the fourth thing of that. No, but that's brilliant. I really appreciate it, and that you're the first people to play it on the radio as well, because it's not till the 28th of March, and just have the opportunity to be here today and, you know, talk about our own music, original music, but, you know, because there's times where you have to go and do Sex on Fire or what have you in the clubs or Mr. Brightside, you know, to still want to do music. So I really appreciate you guys giving us the platform to even talk and put our song on the airwaves. So thank you.
Pleasure's ours, mate. Pleasure's ours, honestly. I just want to touch on the production side of things as well. Did you produce that yourself, or who's actually responsible for that? Because again, the production, the quality of it is just absolutely beautiful. Like,
oh, thank you very much.
Who did the production?
You're still there?
Oh yeah, I'm still here, lads. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you.
Yeah.
We're just asking who did it.
So we went down to Leeds. We worked with a producer now called Bob Cooper, who I would recommend any original artists from the North East or Yorkshire to go and work with Bob Cooper, because he's brilliant. He takes time out and he gets out. You know, that's the first time I've ever played guitar on a record. I play acoustic on that, and it's quite nerve-wracking for someone who's only been a drummer for, like, that was my background, being a drummer for like 20-odd years. I am sure my age. I never thought I'd say that, but yeah. So.
Oh, you're in safe company, mate.
I was going to say, yeah.
So I would recommend, if there's any unsigned bands out there, or even signed bands who want to go and work with a decent producer, go to Leeds and work with Bob Cooper, because he takes time out, and he's got a really nice cat who likes to come and sit in on the session.
I'm sold on it.
Cat Stevens, he's called.
Ted's a cat man, Luke.
Brilliant.
Ted's
Love
a
it.
cat man.
Cat Stevens. What a name for it. Absolutely brilliant. Luke, obviously we're a little bit pushed for time, but I just want to touch on something in terms of, like, there's an absolute mass of talent coming out of the North East music scene right now. You know, there's other Teesside bands, Comparison, which I'm sure you've probably sort of been in and around the same sort of area. You've got The Void up in Sunderland as well, who are a massive up-and-coming indie band. What's going right in the North East? What's causing this massive resurgence in North East talent?
I think that there's been a lot of investment as well. There's opportunities for people to go and do gigs. In Stockton alone, there's like 5 or 6 like really good independent venues that we love to go and play. And there's opportunities, and people want to go and listen to live music again. I think that after the pandemic, I think that people, you know, realise that, you know, we have to support local, and people don't want to be sat in on a night. They want to be out, or they want to be listening to the arts. I think the arts was one of the industries that got probably attacked the most in the pandemic. So I think people are really buying into that again, and ultimately, I think we've all got something to say up in the North East, and we'll do it even if people don't want to listen to it. People will still do it up here, so that's what Absolutely, I like about it.
Long may that continue as well. When can the great North East public catch you live next? Then here's your chance to plug it.
Yeah, so we're playing Stockton Calling, which is a really good all-day festival in Stockton on March 30th. We've got our first headline show as well at the Georgian Theatre on the 11th of May. And then we've been put on the bill to support the Libertines and the Kaiser Chiefs on July 5th and July 27th. So, yeah, I'm predicting a riot for the old Kaiser Chiefs one.
Hey, love it.
I wish I had,
careful,
you'll
get a gig on this show or jokes like that, mate.
Yeah, be careful.
Be careful. We are looking for a local music person to come and head up a show, so we'll poach you. Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Fellas, any more comments before we disappear?
Are you a footy fan, Luke?
I'm a huge Middlesbrough fan.
Good
I follow you on Twitter as well.
Oh, we'll clean out the time.
Get in.
Big.
Get in,
right,
man.
I just wanted to get your opinion on Matty Clark's Bobby Moore tackle the other day. Did you see it?
Oh, I did like it.
More like Roger
I liked
Moore.
it very much. I'll tell you what, we're back to winning ways now, mate. So you don't need to worry about it. Barrow are going to take care of on the pitch, and you can take care of the concert at the Riverside right along James Arthur very soon. I guarantee.
Perfect. Well, thank you all very much again for giving us the opportunity.
Cheers, Luke. It's a great track. Love it. Absolutely
well
love
done,
it, mate.
And keep in touch, mate. You know, when you've got something to plug, let us know and we'll plug it for you. Definitely.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Take care, mate.
Luke Evans from We Tebetans. Not a bad track, fellas.
Yeah, not bad at all.
I love it.
Yeah,
Genuinely, I like
the Wombats.
I'm not just saying
the
it.
Wombats sprang to mind.
Messaging my mates as well. Yeah, Wombats was a good shout as well, right, to be honest. I genuinely messaging a couple of mates going, oh, wow, absolutely love it. Yeah, it's genuine love for that track. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
There you go.
What next, Steve?
Is he there?
He might not be there.
He hasn't gone. He hasn't gone, has
He's
he?
gone again.
We've lost Steve again.
Has he gone again?
We lost Stevie.
He's still on the system.
Okay.
Oh dear.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll take a break and then we'll get
He's on the
Steve
cistern.
Well, the toilet cistern.
All right.
We'll take a break.
We'll have a break and we'll come
get
back.
Steve back right after this.
Together across the North East.
The tune, the cat, and the red.
Whoa, Celestial, Celestial Windows. Whoa, Celestial, Celestial Windows. Whoa, Celestial, Celestial Windows. Whoa, Celestial, Celestial Windows. Windows, conservatories, and so much more. With high security, great quality, the company you've been searching for. Whoa, Celestial, Celestial Windows. Whoa, Celestial, Celestial Windows.
Hello, it is Chris Story, and this weekend I will be right on your radio dial. How good is that? We're going to have backtracks. It's a clip of a song played backwards. We'll have Ron Keys. He is the king of Clubland. And I might just whip out, if you're very good, my big organ will also have that. And the things you simply do not know. And I might just mix that all together with some really good music. So make sure you join me right here this weekend.
From Yarm to Yippee, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swarwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the northeast. The red, the tune, and the cat.
It's always good to hear local music, isn't it? And what's happening in the music scene. So if you're out across the North East, doesn't matter whether you're Tyneside, Wayside, Teesside, reach out to us, get in touch, and we'll see what
if
we
I
can
write a
do.
song?
You have,
What if I write a song, Radio Dad? Yeah.
Well, you have.
You
have.
You know what I mean?
And
it'd be a bit better than Ted's yesterday. Did you hear that one? And I'll tell you what, that'd still be in the system.
It was cracking, wasn't it?
Don't bother putting that on, lads. Don't.
Whoa! That one, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Ted's on the
Have you got
system,
Ted's
is it?
there, though?
There was an audio clue yesterday.
I haven't got time to faff on, lads.
Okay, get on with it then.
Just want to say congratulations
wow.
to AFC Totton, who had a bumper crowd for their cup win over Folland Sports, who offered free tickets to Preston fans who travelled to Hampshire for their postponed championship game with Southampton. Those of you who were watching the fire that broke out at Southampton's ground, and then the inevitable cancellation.
It's a biggie, wasn't it?
But it was huge, awful. No one hurt, thankfully. But well done to Totton. That's a non-league club offering Preston tickets, and 60 of them took them up on it. So they got free tickets, but obviously they came in, they spent money at the bar, hot dogs and stuff. So a nice little football story there, where a small minnow helps a bigger club.
Love that.
Good bit of publicity as well.
And Gisborough Town as well down here. They opened up the King George V ground to let Norwich train just before they took on the borough. So Gisborough Town locally doing something similar as well.
If only Premier League clubs and Championship clubs were a bit more, do a bit more for non-league, like give them some money, perhaps, filter it down the system, because the FA doesn't do that as well as it should do. Maybe something, give and take. But that was a lovely football story. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes left, lads. We're going to have to look ahead to the games at the weekend. Newcastle, of course, playing Monday night, so we'll look ahead to that game on Monday when we're back next week. We'll start with Borough. Queen's Park Rangers lies in wait, Rye, for you guys this weekend.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know. It's an interesting one, this, because you're buoyed now with your win midweek, and level on points with Sunderland. Although I have to remind you, Rye, you are behind on goal difference.
Yes,
three
behind
goals
as well.
3 goals it is. Yeah, exactly. But Queen's Park Rangers sitting in 19th place on 39 points, 8 points behind you. But in a bit of form themselves, QPR, mate. So tell us what your thoughts are on this game.
Yeah, look, it's a tough one. We're going in for our first sort of consecutive win of the season. It's been a tough old 2024 for Borough. We've seen ups, we've seen more lows than we've seen ups, but the week just gone was one of the biggest ups we've seen in that turnaround from Norwich. It did take a red card for us to kick into gear. Can we take that on? I'm very, very still scared. Obviously, it's going to be back to an 11 men and a QPR outfit that are still quite strong. They are performing well. They're trying to get themselves out of that relegation zone as well. And even the percentage, the win probability is QPR 40%, Middlesbrough 33%, considering we're in 12th and they're in 19th, which goes to show you a little bit there as well. Middlesbrough still, I believe, will struggle. I think it's a new match away from home again to find that gear. I hope that the Norwich one has sort of kicked them up the backside to sort of carry that on. But I still think that we saw in that first sort of 20 to 25 minutes how slow Middlesbrough can be to get out of the gates. And honestly, if Norwich hadn't gone down to 10 men, you probably would have argued it would have been a completely different story considering our confidence. And it's just that we hope the lads have been buoyed by that and that they know they can do it. They know they can put three balls in the back of the net and hopefully go on a bit of a run now. QPR should be there for the taking. It is at home. But, it is a Middlesbrough squad that, it seems to rock up. You just don't know which one team's going to rock up. And I hope it's the latter that we saw in Norwich. We'll have Johnny Howson back rearing a fit. Izzy Jones as well, you would think, come into this squad, which are two massive wins. We cannot uncredit those two coming back into this team this weekend. So, yeah, look, I'm going for a big Borough turnaround now since that win from Norwich. I think we're going to we've got a bit of an easier fixture, more better than Sunderland's, that's for sure. So in terms of the teams that are below us, we've never done too well, but I just think hopefully, and I pray that something has clicked now in terms of Carrick getting the team together, Carrick's choice of that first team squad as well, and a few injuries in the terms of Johnny Howson and Izzy Jones returning, which are going to buoy these boys on, hopefully for a big win against QPR.
Dave, what's your thoughts on this game coming up for Borough? I mean, great result for you. Maybe
it was.
We haven't heard much from you this week, but that was a good result for Borough.
It was a great result for Borough, and I was there at the Riverside, and we were in the Six Meadows beforehand doing match day live with the fans. And look, Ted, it's going to be painful, but it just brings back memories of the game at the Stadium of Light, where the red card changed the game entirely. And I will give credit to the Borough. Normally, with the sort of team goes down to 10 men, and we find it difficult to break them down. But against Sunderland and then against Norwich midweek, what the Borough did was took the game to the 10-man opposition. So I'll give them credit for that. Great 3 points, great Philip, bit of self-belief injected into the red and white veins. But I still think QPR, it's not normally, we have had recent wins there, but not many. It's not normally a happy hunting ground for us. And I don't think the one victory that we've had in midweek is... I don't think that's going to lead to a long winning run with the Borough. I just think there's too many disjointed parts right now, and I think the focus is very much one on staying in the Championship. And I think that win against Norwich, we flirted briefly with a relegation scrap, and had we lost to Norwich, we'd have certainly still been in one. I think that 3 points has really given us enough of a platform to go on and get another 5 or 6 with the remaining 11 games to be certain of being in the Championship. But I just think we've been so inconsistent this season. I know Rye is the eternal optimist, and I love you, Rye, for that. I've just become a hardened Borough fan, which is, likes to roll out typical Borough and doing a double over Leicester City, yet losing to the likes of Bristol City, Plymouth, Stoke, Rotherham is typical Borough. And I just think that inconsistency will remain for the rest of the season. So I'd be happy with a point coming back from Loftus Road. Absolutely. They're on a great run of form. They're 4 unbeaten. They've won 3 out of those last 4 games. There's a couple of teams like that down there. Chef Wed are putting a great run together, and they've pulled themselves right back into the chances, even though they're still second bottom. They've now given themselves a chance of survival this season. So we're going to see a few teams flying through, and I think Borough's just done enough now. So, look, I'll go for a draw at the weekend.
Okay, what do you see, Ted, in this game? Sunderland, of course, have got their match coming up as well. We'll look at that in a second. But give us your views on the Queen's Park Rangers Middlesbrough game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was glad I missed yesterday because I had plenty to say about Middlesbrough and the 6 points they've had through incorrect sendings off this season. But it's an absolute joke, to be honest. They can't beat 11 men. They absolutely cannot beat 11 men. So I think it'll be normal service resumed.
Can't beat 11 men. We did Leicester twice.
Mate, off days. Everyone can have an off day.
You can't handle it.
It's just a false position that Middlesbrough's in at this moment in time. Yeah, they've got a game in hand on Sunderland, but they've still got to win it, and they won't. I can only see a QPR win. To be honest, I think QPR's banging form. They always play well at home. They make themselves very, very difficult to beat at home. Another one of these who's physical side, but they can pop the ball about a bit as well. I'm going to go for a healthy 2-0 win to QPR.
Right, did we get your prediction?
I'm going for a 3-0 win to Borough. We're just that good.
3-0
before.
Yep,
And
3-0. I'm not even joking. I honestly think we'll win 3-0. I honestly think the boys are going to be buoyed with confidence.
Dave, what about you?
I went 1-1 draw.
You went 1-1 draw. Okay, so we've got the full spectrum there. I'm gonna go for a draw for Borough. Yeah, I'm gonna say that the run will continue, but it won't be a win. QPR is a difficult ground to go to. You've got to be on top form, but that win midweek is going to give Borough a lot of confidence. Okay, Southampton, Sunderland, the battle of the two red and whites in the division. Another interesting game. This it's because of the changing nature of the championship and the fact that Southampton had a curveball thrown in their direction by a game being postponed, gives them that game in hand now. In some people say that it's better having the points in the bag. Some people say it's good having the game in hand. But they're sitting in 4th place, 70 points. Still got that opportunity of an outside opportunity, you would say, of going up automatically, but it's probably going to be a long shot, you would say. Sunderland, of course, 47 points, sitting just above the Middlesbrough on goal difference. This is another one of those awkward games. I never liked going down to Southampton. Either ground. The Dell was awful. It was an awful place. It was a graveyard of North East teams as well. But yeah, how do you see this one going, Ted?
It's a massively tough game. Obviously, we had the huge result at the beginning of the season where we beat them 5-0. They were still getting accustomed to life in the Championship, I think it's fair to say at that point. And despite, an £8 million signing in Ross Stewart not playing, he's only done 17 minutes, and obviously, the injury concerns about him will continue. But yeah, listen, Southampton have still got bags of quality in that side, and it's going to be a big ask to get anything out of this game. The positives are, though, and I know I had a little pop at Mike Dodds earlier. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm just a bit moody because you've overseen 5 defeats in a row, mate. We've got to improve, and we did see improvement. And if we see a performance like that last 45 against Leicester the other night, we were unlucky to come away from that without at least a goal out of it and at least a draw out of it. I thought we were worth a draw.
Hit the bar, mate. You came so close.
Well, hit the bar. We should have had the penalty as well. Unfortunately, though, there was a bit of theatrics involved.
Greg
when he went down,
Louganis, mate. It was Greg Louganis.
There we go. But yeah, listen, all we want to see is consistency now. We want to see a consistent performance from the first whistle to the standard that to finish the Leicester game, because there's quality in there. We know that we've got the players who can play decent football. Yes, we're crippled by injuries, all that sort of thing. That's not going to go away. It's up to this squad now to stake their claim and start building for a place in next season's squad. So It's as much as it is absolute a graveyard, mate. That's the best way to say it as well. Remember, it's also the site of Sunderland's worst ever away league defeat, which it was in the Premier League a few years back. I mean, I think we scored 2 own goals that day as well. It was an absolute horror show. We'll want to put things like that behind us as well. We've beaten them 5-0 already this season. We can go there, and I do fancy us to nick a point out of it. I really do. So I'm going to go for an entertainment, mate. I'm going to go for a Desmond. I'm going to go for a 2-2.
Okay. Is it clear to go ahead? Is it clear to go ahead since the fire?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. No,
you would have heard by now.
I've seen some pictures of the smoke that was coming out of the fire at the time, and you can see why the game was called off. It was had that come into the stadium, it wouldn't have been good. Not the fire. I'm just thinking the smoke. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Give us your predictions and this. How do you think this one's going to go?
Yep, it's an easy win for the Southampton. Sunderland are absolutely gone. Dodsey, I don't know what he's doing up there, but he is not getting it right. And Sunderland have packed it up. I'm trying to be as kind as I can, but every time I team to tip Sunderland, they lose. So maybe if I tip Southampton, I might get a nicer 10 on Monday. But I'm expecting a big win for Southampton. They had the rest midweek as well, obviously, due to unfortunate circumstances, but they've had a week off. They are absolutely flying, and they want to secure that top 3, which I think they can do. Russell Mountain is a fantastic coach and manager, and I just don't know what Sunderland are playing for, but we know what Southampton are. So I think it's going to be a big win for Southampton. I'm going 3-0.
Wow. Okay, Dave.
I just think Southampton, they've had a bit of good fortune, haven't they? That red card to Dion Sanderson in the 4-3 defeat of Birmingham helped them break that losing streak. They've had the extra day's rest because they didn't have the game because it was called off because of the fire. I just think they're going to look at the table now. They've had a chance to take stock and think we've got to get back to they are back to winning ways there. But that run was awful with 3 defeats in their last 5. It really took them out of the top 2 positions. But I think the focus for them now will be on getting back there as soon as they can. They know they can't afford to slip up. So I'm sorry, Ted. It was men against boys for first 45 minutes against Leicester. Look, you put on a really spirited second 45 minutes and you could have got something out of the game. But I just feel Southampton's going to do another Leicester on you on this one. I think they're going to turn you around and they've got home advantage. I'm going to go for 3-0 Southampton as well.
I was getting worried when he said turn them round. I thought you were going to go off on one there. For me personally, I think this is a tough game for Sunderland. But we've learned the Championship is like this. You never. You expect the unexpected, and we saw that midweek. So I'm going to go for Sunderland to win this game this weekend. I'm going to go for a shout. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Sunderland. I think they're going to rediscover some form, and this could be a big shock. You always get shocks. You always get shocks in the Championship, and this could be it this weekend. So this is
always been my favourite, Steve.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Imagine living in harmony. Love it.
I know.
But I think I just think it's a big game. I think Southampton as well. It's just the pressure. The pressure is going to start to mount on these teams at the top. We've already seen it with Leicester. They have had a little wobble, and I think it's Southampton's turn this weekend. And never say never. Dodds certainly talks a good game. It's whether he can instill that into his players this weekend and get a performance out of them. But Sunderland's due one. Middlesbrough have had it. Both Sunderland and Middlesbrough are too good to go down. There's no way in the world they're going to get dragged into a relegation battle.
I agree.
The 3 teams below, the 3 teams at the bottom, I think, unfortunately for them, will probably be the ones that drop. But I think the lads have done enough. I think it's looking ahead to next season and seeing what they can do. Sunderland's got to get the managerial appointment right. And hope that can persuade Jack Clark to stay at least for another season. And Middlesbrough have got the right man in the job. They've got to find a way of not selling the best players when they find a team that plays well and scores goals and gets them into a position for playoffs or even automatics that they don't sell them. But Yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Sunderland on that game. But no Newcastle game to talk about today, lads, unfortunately. But Daz, I would imagine, is winging his way into the studio. Dave, is he?
Not here yet. No. He's
he?
obviously stopped off at Greg's to get me a bacon butty. Obviously.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, we have actually hit all my talking points this morning, and we've come to the end of our show, which means that Daz, you better hurry up getting up them stairs and getting ready to put
tune on.
Getting ready to put some music on.
We can go to music. Don't worry.
I will finish with Southgate. He has been linked to
Man
the
United.
Manchester United job, which I find is strange.
Just seeing you link that.
I mean, Southgate for me will still be England manager. I don't think he's gonna step down. We know that the FA want him to stay, and I don't think he'll step down after the competition this summer. I think he'll be in it for 2 more years at least. So I think this is pie in the sky. But let's say the offer's too good to refuse. Is Southgate the right fit, lads? I don't think he is. I don't think anybody's the right fit for these owners.
Not even the right fit for his waistcoat, mate.
Yeah, right. What do you reckon? Southgate to Manchester United if he was free of the England job?
Yeah, apparently he's got a fantastic relationship with Ratcliffe and Ineos. Apparently the company that is behind Ratcliffe, and so apparently, I don't know. I guess so. I honestly think England have a very, very good chance, more than ever, to go on and win the Euros this year. So if you win the Euros, I think it's hard pressed to then take Gareth Southgate out of that job. So. No, I think he's still England man. He's England's man for a few more years before he comes back to management.
Ted?
No, absolutely not. England will never win anything with Gareth Southgate in charge, and no, he is not a Manchester United manager. He's a Championship manager at best.
Has Daz got his finger out, Dave?
Mate, I've got the music ready. He's not here. Like I say, he's investing in bacon butties for me. But
Unbelievable.
We can have music, mate. Oh, hang on. There's a shadow and the door opens. In he comes. Bacon butty, mate. You went to Greg's, obviously. That was the delay. No. No, he hasn't even got me a bacon butty.
Oh, sorry. Good morning, chaps. How are we doing?
Morning, Dazzy.
Morning, Daz.
Oh,
how are you, mate?
Yeah, all right.
Time to get your predictions, Daz. No Newcastle game this weekend, so Queen's Park Rangers against Middlesbrough. How do you see that going?
I think the Borough are going to sneak that 1-0. I think we'll carry on some of that momentum from this week.
That's it, my boy. That's it, Dazzy. That's why I love you. That's why you're my favourite.
QBR.
Did I hear that right?
No. Have you not heard the interview?
Yeah, I did actually. Saying you were his favourite.
I just think we'll carry forward that confidence, and I know QPR are doing well. Good run. As for Sunderland,
Southampton away.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the most trickiest game of the season. They're going to want to batter you after what happened earlier in the season.
Yeah,
the form that you're on, Ted, I fear for you. I'm going to go 2-0 Southampton, but I think that's being optimistic. Sorry.
There you go.
Okay, well, that's the end of the week.
Well done, fellas. Have a happy weekend.
Big week.
Yeah.
And you all.
Up the borough.
I'm just going to keep it Teesside. Chris Rea taking us out. See you, fellas.
Have a good one.
See you guys.
Have a good one. Bye.